Alright, listen up, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and even the folks that get mad at me when I say non-binary pals. I'm gonna need y'all to lock the fuck in right now, today, because this news right here affects all of us. This is a huge blow to underground music and press as Pitchfork reports Brooklyn vegan alt press hit with mass layoffs. Music publications Revolver and Goldmine have also been gutted by owners Veep and Live Nation, as Jasmine Rowe writes and reports less than 24 hours ago. Music publications Brooklyn Vegan, Alternative Press, Revolver, and Goldmine have been gutted by parent company Veeps, according to various sources. Nearly all staff at each publication appear to have been laid off yesterday. Veeps, which is now part of Live Nation, seems to have owned the publications since 2024 or 2025. Pitchfork has emailed Veeps and Live Nation representatives for comment. Emails to Brooklyn Vegan staffers, with the exception of founder Dave Levine, bounced back. And for those of you maybe wondering why Good Charlotte was name-dropped in the title of this video, here we go. Veeps was founded by Good Charlotte's Benji and Joel Madden and has operated for many years as a ticketed live stream platform. Good Charlotte is responsible for this. The title is not clickbait. Y'all love to pretend that everything I do is clickbait. This ain't clickbait. Good Charlotte is directly responsible for killing underground metal and music press. Publicist Jacob Daneman mourned Brooklyn Vegan on X last night. Rest in peace, Brooklyn Vegan. Absolutely bewildering. Thinking of all the great people there and the unparalleled music coverage they've done over the years. Utterly unceremonious and moronic actions by Veeps. Now look, I understand some of you may have mixed or complicated feelings surrounding these websites and platforms and such. I understand some of you, especially if you openly identify as like a true cult metal elitist type, might celebrate this news because this means less hipsters and less posers and blah 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 blah. But however you feel about these publications now, it needs to be understood that these publications, for a good chunk of their history, were independent, underground music press outlets who did a great job highlighting up-and-coming bands and underground bands and putting together special tours and doing special editorials and just really supporting the last 25 years or so of hard rock, heavy metal, punk, and alternative music. That is just a simple fact. As Pitchfork elaborates, each publication has a storied history and a more or less unwavering mission that has endured for multiple decades. Levine founded Brooklyn Vegan in 2004 at the peak of the era's rock revival in New York. Revolver, founded as a general interest rock magazine in 2000, has been a hard rock and metal institution since the following year. And Goldmine and Alternative Press, as I'm now learning, are actually even older than that. Goldmine has been publishing a physical newspaper, or more recently magazine, for record collectors since the mid-1970s, making it over 50 years old, a trusted source of information for people who were actually buying physical records and who were really into music for over 50 years. And Alternative Press was founded in Cleveland in 1985 and remained in the city until its acquisition by another Madden's company, the Veeps parent company, MDDN, around 2020. And unfortunately, this is not the first time this year we have seen long-running, independent, underground, metal, punk, music, press, publications, and outlets, and websites, and media places and such being absolutely gutted by larger corporations. As Lambgoat reports on April 29th earlier this year, Sony lays off staff from Metal Injection, MetalSucks, and Blast Beat Network. This week, Sony, via The Orchard, quietly cut nearly all full-time staff members from Metal Injection and MetalSucks. Additionally, they also scrapped full-time positions from the heavy metal advertising network Blast Beat Network. Metal Injection was launched in 2003 by Frank Godla and Rob Pasbani, while MetalSucks was founded in 2006 by Matt Goldenberg and Ben Umanov. In 2022, Pasbani, Goldenberg, and Umanov all sold their respective interests in the aforementioned companies to The Orchard, a subsidiary of Sony Music Entertainment. As mentioned above, all full-time employees but one from the entities have been let go. A source close to the matter has revealed to Lambgoat that Godla is now the sole person left to man the three properties with the assistance of one freelance writer per outlet. And once again, I understand some of you may have mixed, complicated feelings on all of these different outlets and blogs and such. With MetalSucks in particular, I imagine there's a lot of celebration over MetalSucks being gone. MetalSucks is quite possibly one of the most divisive websites like within like the rock metal universe today. But once again, at the end of the day, all of these sites and even MetalSucks did a great job highlighting underground up and coming bands and really promoting music and putting together special tour packages for people like us. No matter how you feel about all these different websites and blogs and publications and how big they got, or whether or not you think they're real or fake or whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. They put in the fucking work, they never really abandoned their values, and now they've all been fucking gutted. Now, some of you may be wondering what's going to happen to Brooklyn Vegan and Alternative Press and Goldmine and Revolver. Will they continue to operate? Will they continue to publish articles and do editorials and all kinds of other stuff? Will they continue to generate content? The answer is yes, but it will very likely be very different. Just to give you an idea of what could happen, let's look at what has happened to MetalSucks over the past few months since being absolutely gutted. No more album reviews, no more editorials, no more special features or interviews, not a lot of information on up-and-coming releases. I would even tune into MetalSucks like every Friday to get like an idea of what was coming out that day that maybe had slipped under the radar for me personally. Instead, we have a new weekly column called Do I Suck? From someone named Smokey Goretooth. We have the Disgruntled Dad reviews with Dave Must Complain, this kind of like goofy parody satire character who I guess is meant to be like kind of this old metal boomer type. For a hot little minute, we had this little feature from John Goblikon of Necrogoblikon fame. Let's go Goblin mode on this week's 3 biggest metal headlines. Just like the absolute biggest news in metal, I guess. They do have this Droppocalypse Friday thing where they recount some of the new releases. It's not as thorough. It doesn't dig quite as deep as when MetalSucks would previously go over weekly releases, but at least it's something. And that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of variety to this content. It very much feels like MetalSucks trying to manufacture these kinds of like personalities. Everything is satire. Everything is parody. You don't really get the feeling like they actually really give a shit about any of the music that they're talking about. They had an entire fucking article here from one Smokey Goretooth. Do I suck for farting on my vocalist's microphone? Like, come the fuck on. Say whatever you want about MetalSucks, but this is objectively a downgrade. Now, to be entirely transparent and honest and fair and balanced, it appears Metal Injection is more or less doing the same. I do feel like looking through this, it has a lot less personality, but at bare minimum, you're actually getting news on stuff that is happening within the realms of rock and metal and extreme music. You're getting interviews, you're getting special content and top 10 lists and album reviews and such like that. This is admittedly kind of an interesting little feature and interview here as well, talking to Outlaw Country singer-songwriter Coder Jinx and the 5 metal records that every country fan should know. It ends up being a pretty basic collection. You know, it's all the big records from all the big fucking guns. But it's still kind of neat to see, like, an Outlaw Country singer, like, talking about metal music on an actual metal website, you know? Like, that is genuinely kind of cool. I guess you could say that, like, best case scenario, Brooklyn Vegan, Revolver, Alt Press, they all get turned into, like, Metal Injection, and they continue to operate in a diminished capacity, but they still do, like, editorials, and they still highlight new music from underground up-and-coming bands, and they still do interviews and podcasts and special features and so on and so forth. Worst case scenario, they become MetalSucks, a complete caricature of what they were before. Caricature with no real personality or character or unique defining traits or qualities, no sense of humor, no real genuine love for heavy metal, for punk, for underground music, for rock being really expressed or felt. Obviously, only time can tell what will end up happening to these outlets, to these websites, to these publications. The fate of Brooklyn Vegan, Alt Press, Revolver, Goldmine, and to an extent Metal Injection and MetalSucks has not yet been written. And the problem is, right now, even in the best case scenario with Metal Injection, the fates of these outlets are being determined by big corporations, by Sony, by Live Nation, by Veeps, and by the Madden Bros from Good Charlotte. The future and fate of underground punk, metal, alt, music, and press and media is being written by people who have been detached from these underground scenes for a long time, by corporations who have never been a part, who have never been welcome in these underground scenes. And in the process, a lot of authentic and talented people and writers are losing their jobs. In the process, potentially, there are a lot of underground up-and-coming bands that will not get the kind of support that they used to get from all of these websites. And that is just such a shame. The idea that, like, this culture, this music, and these bands can just be, like, swallowed whole, and information about them can like, the flow of information can just be neutered and torn down by major corporations and celebrity rock stars is just so fucking evil. And sadly, I'm not so sure that there's anything that can be done to help. The damage is done. There is no amount of petitioning, protesting, boycotting, complaining, online or in person, that would convince Sony and Veeps and Live Nation to change course, to rehire all of these people. And even if they did do that, the pain is still there. We will still remember how they came in very quietly and worked very hard to gut the culture. The best course of action, in my opinion, is to support all of the individual writers and journalists and creators who worked with these websites in whatever endeavors they have going forward, on whatever platforms they have going forward. We also need to continue supporting the websites, the blogs, the magazines, the outlets that still exist for underground punk, metal, rock, and alt music. For example, Decibel Magazine, arguably true authorities and connoisseurs of underground metal and extreme music. These guys rock. They are still the best of the best. Hopefully they remain doing this in this way forever. Highlighting underground up-and-coming bands, doing special editorials, doing special events, putting together special festivals, and all kinds of stuff. They are the best. Go support them if you somehow aren't already. And don't forget to pay attention and give support to more local zines and blogs and outlets and such. Here's something I just found online, Absolute Underground, a bi-monthly magazine published 6 times a year, primarily about underground music, punk and metal and such, but they also have other interests like skateboarding and cannabis and horror movies and burlesque. And I think that that's really cool. They do have a website here. There are some interviews and some features here and there, but the magazine is the main focus. I might pick it up myself. Honestly, I might. I wonder if I can pick it up at Sonic Boom, come to think of it. And obviously, with the way the world works today, there is no shortage of content creators and influencers and critics across multiple social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Rumble, Twitch, YouTube, obviously, the people who are doing album reviews and special features and having special conversations and doing live streams. I, for example, am one of those people, not to toot my own horn. And there's also Metal Trenches and Heavy Metal Philosophy and the Metal Tempest and Slam Dad and so many more. Honestly, we could sit here and list tons and tons of fucking names across all these different fucking platforms that are giving you the content that these websites used to give us. And they're completely independent. Nobody owns them. There are no major corporations or rock star celebrities pulling the strings or whatever. They're just doing their fucking thing. You know what? I'm going to give a shout out to Jimmy from the Block as well, who's been one of the most vocal voices within, like, brutal death metal and grindcore over the course of the past few years. He just got fucked over a little bit by Google and YouTube. I don't even fully understand the issue. Something about, like, oh, the inappropriate album artwork. Dog, who fucking cares? Like, whatever. Like, I have had some grotesque album covers prominently featured in YouTube thumbnails many a time in the past, and you're gonna give Jimmy some fucking crap for fucking what? Like holding a CD? What are we fucking doing here? It's fucking stupid. Check him out. Give him some support. All that stuff. So yeah, in conclusion, fuck Veeps, fuck Live Nation, fuck Sony. I really hope that all of these outlets can operate in a decent capacity. Again, I hope best case scenario it turns out like Metal Injection, where they actually do continue to actually make content and share news about new things in rock and metal and punk music, because the worst case scenario is that it just becomes like whatever the fuck MetalSucks is now, and it's just this caricature of whatever the fuck it was before. And support all the folks and outlets I mentioned and many, many more. I guess that's it for me. Let's not let this culture, rock, metal, punk, alt music, all of it, be swallowed up by corporations and celebrities. That's stupid. That's fucking bullshit. Press subscribe if you liked what I said today and you want more of my shit and you haven't done so already. Join us on Discord, other videos elsewhere. Follow us on social media. I promise, unlike one particular content creator, I won't accuse you of stalking me if you look at my public social media posts. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day. Cheers, y'all.